Today we'll hear from Antoine Castex, enterprise architect at the cosmetics company L'Oreal. They built a serverless, multi-cloud data warehouse based on Google Cloud. Welcome to the show, Antoine.
Thanks, Martin, for having me. Did you know that I have been using Google Cloud since 2011, starting with App Engine?
Wow, that's about the same time I started with App Engine. All right, so why did L'Oreal need a new data warehouse, Antoine?
Because we have data in many different databases, in many different systems, like any large company. We need to democratize this data and make it available to thousands of employees.
Sounds great. I can't wait to hear how you did it. All right, first, Antoine, could you tell me about L'Oreal's business and your data needs?
Yeah, sure. L'Oréal had sales of 32 billion euros in 2021. We are present in more than 150 countries. We have many brands adapted to local requirements, and we keep rolling out new ones.
Wow, cosmetics and personal care are big business, I guess.
Yes, they are. We need to have a good understanding of all the data we need for all our brands and manage requirements for different countries. We have many brands, many organizations within the company, and many retail stores, and of course, many systems.
So what systems do you use for that?
Our systems have grown organically over the time. We collect data from point of sale systems, Salesforce, SAP, Microsoft, Facebook, Google Ads, and so on.
Well, you're a large company, and any large companies has a lot of systems and data sources, right?
Yes, that's right. But our employee needs a single view of the data from all of these systems in one place to make business decisions. We need to unify all the different systems and see data in only one place.
That makes sense. How did you manage the complexity of that?
Well, we decided early on that the data warehouse should be no ops, it must be sustainable, and we will use ELT instead of the traditional ETL.
Okay, let's talk about each one of those for a minute. So first off, you said no ops. What do you mean by no ops?
Oh, I mean, the job of a developer at L'Oreal is not to manage servers. We need infrastructure that scale on demand so that our developer can deliver business value instead of managing server.
That makes sense. How did you accomplish that?
We decided to put the data in BigQuery, which scales up and down automatically. I'm sure Google is using servers to do that, but we don't have to deal with them. To load and transform the data, we pick it up Cloud Function and Cloud Run, which are also serverless.
Got it. Next, you said your data warehouse needs to be environmentally sustainable.
Yes, of course, this is very, very important to us and to our customer. We need to know what the carbon footprint is for our data warehouse, and we were happy to see that Google Clouds include a carbon footprint dashboard because it tells us about the footprint, but also how to reduce it.
Great. I love that carbon footprint dashboard as well. I use that for all my side projects. So the third point you mentioned is ELT. Now I know of ETL, and that means extract, transform, load, if I remember correctly. And it's a way to pull data from systems and to make it useful for decision makers. But what is ELT?
You're right, Martin. ETL is the traditional approach, and I used that in my previous job, and it was working well. But now, modern data warehouse like BigQuery can transform loaded data. So ELT is faster and cheaper than ETL.
Oh, how much faster and cheaper?
Well, we used to spend thousands of euros on data transformation that took hours. By doing ELT with BigQuery, we spend tens of euros and it takes only minutes.
Wow, from thousands of euros to tens of euros. I like that. I might have to look into ELT for next system I'm building. Okay, so what was the architecture of this data warehouse?
The job of a data warehouse is to connect data sources with data consumer.
Okay, and before we continue, What's an example of a data consumer at L'Oréal?
That's a great question. It could be a marketing team who needs to know how many bottles of Yves Saint Laurent perfume were sold in Europe versus in Asia versus in Latin America.
Ah, I see. And how many data consumers like that are there within L'Oréal?
Right now, we have onboarded about 5,000 users, but the goal at the end is to have 30,000 data consumers, which represent 30% of the company. We need to democratize this data so everyone can make smarter decisions.
Wow, that's a lot of people, 30,000 data consumers. All right, so sorry for the interruption, but data consumers, please continue about the architecture, Antoine.
Yeah, no problem. The consumer needs the data presented in a visual way. We build dashboard in Looker for that.
Looker, okay, got it.
And Looker pulls the data from BigQuery. And we like BigQuery because it's a serverless data warehouse. That means no ops, like I mentioned before. And also it means that we can adopt a SQL standard as a universal data language. Our analysts already know SQL.
Very nice. And now you're using BigQuery. How does that data get into BigQuery?
There is two ways. Either the data source call an API based on RPG, or they upload data file directly to Google Cloud Storage.
Makes sense.
Once we have received the data with an API call or an uploaded file, we use Cloud Run to do some basic cleaning and formatting operation.
Okay, so is that where the data transformations happen, like swapping out country names for country codes and so on?
No, it's not. We are using ELT, so the data first need to be loaded into BigQuery as soon as possible. And when that is done, we can start transforming it.
Oh, right. You're using ELT, not ETL. You load the data first and then you transform it.
That's right. Now, some dataset requires up to 10 transformation. It's important those steps happen in the right order. So to do that, we have defined processes in cloud workflows.
Oh, okay. How does that work?
It is pretty simple. We write up the process steps in a YAML file. Each step is a call to BigQuery API with some SQL query attached to it.
Oh, so you don't have to write code in Java or some other programming language to do those transformations?
Right. It's all declarative with YAML files and SQL. That means less work for our data engineer to create the transformations.
I like that. Less code means fewer bugs. Now, how are these cloud workflows triggered?
The workflows are triggered by an event arc event. Every time a Cloud Run service runs, an event is generated automatically by Google. We don't have to create an event ourselves. We just need to consume events. It is like magic.
I love it when it's like magic. How many of these workflows do you have?
We have about 8,500 different flows of data in the data warehouse, and there is one workflow for each one.
Wow, that's a lot of workflows. I can see why you don't want to write a separate Java or Python program for each one of those,
Yes, sure, that will probably not scale.
right? Okay, so it sounds like a big data warehouse, but one that's pretty easy to run. What plans do you have next?
Next is more SQL than ever. We want to replace most of our imperative Python code with declarative SQL. SQL, again, is the universal language within the company, so the less we do in other language, the easier things will be for us.
Sounds exciting. Thank you for joining me today, Antoine. And thank you, everyone, for watching. If you have questions for Antoine or me, please write a comment below. Also, let me know what other serverless topics you'd like to see on the show. See you next time.